Good morning. How, excuse
Morning.
me. How are you?
Morning.
Good, and yourself?
I'm doing all right. Just a little hairball.
Yeah, I hate those things.
Yep. And Keith is not going to be here today.
Okay.
So it should just be Aaron and Jasmine today.
Okay, Aaron and Jasmine, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I
Good morning.
got your. Good morning, Aaron. Good morning. I got your resubmission for your job description, Jasmine. Like I
Uh-huh.
told you in the email, it may be next week before I get that regraded. We're leaving
Okay.
tomorrow morning to go to Ohio for that funeral. So if y'all email me this weekend, uh, I probably not going to get back with you until Monday or so. I've had a death in the family, and we're heading up to. I'm leaving early tomorrow morning to go to Cleveland, so I'll be up there this weekend. But don't think I forgot about you or ignoring you or anything. Just bear with me. Uh, you guys have any questions or anything that we've talked about in HR on your job descriptions?
I got one question. When you say like includes division, department, and location within business, what do you mean by division?
Uh, like, large companies tend to be divided up. Like you may have a production division, you may have accounting division, HR division, like that. Uh, I know, on a farm, it's just one big operation. Uh, but some farms also divided up, like uh, the farm I worked on at Stewart's. We had to keep track of their hours that we spent working with cattle, or spent hours we worked at in tobacco, or building fence, or in hay. Um, so what I, just make up, just come up with some type of division for that. So, um, what are you doing yours on, or what are you looking at hiring for?
Well, I have a small, like, I'm gonna have like a family-owned business, like a feed store, family-owned feed
Okay,
store.
so the person that you're hiring, or the position you're hiring for, is this just a
Well, it's a lead
general?
sales associate. So like,
Okay, so I would put it in sales, you know, sales division.
okay,
I would just make a division up to put it in there, or feed mill division, or outside sales division. Does that make sense?
yeah, that does.
Just address it, so I can give you the
Okay.
points for it. The territory? How I would approach that is I would say the feed store is located in a town or the county. Are you in Mecklenburg County, or what county are you in?
Oh, I'm in Nottaway County.
Okay. What town is the store in, or is it just out in the county?
I haven't really decided what town, but it's gonna be one of the towns in Nottaway, either Crew or Burkeville.
Okay. Just say the store is located in Burkeville, uh, and we serve Nottaway and surrounding counties.
Okay.
And then on the territory covered for this sales position, you will want to specify the area. So, if this salesman is going to cover, say, Western Virginia, you could, or East, if it's going to cover, I don't know what area you want him to cover, but you can name the counties or name that region uh, that he's going
I
to cover.
I probably was just gonna do like maybe like Southside Virginia, like all the counties in Southside Virginia,
Okay.
between the North Carolina border and Richmond, I guess, anywhere between there.
Okay. Then I'd specify that, and tell on that, where it's going to be a traveling job, you really need to expound a little bit on the miles he's expected to drive, or
Okay.
I mean, and he's not going to drive that every day, but you know there's going to be a lot of traveling involved, so you definitely have to have a DMV record. Um, the type of vehicle he's going to be driving, an
Mhm.
automatic or standard, because some people can't drive standard nowadays. Uh, is there any overnight travel to be involved? You need to address that issue, even if and he may go off to say like the Cattlemen's Convention or something like that, you know, conferences or conventions. So you'd probably want to put in there some overnight, occasional overnight training for uh, conventions and conferences and training. Um, but mostly, so there'd be some overnight travel for those instances. Um, is he going? Are they going to be delivering any feed products?
Yeah, they could possibly be sent on sit on deliveries and stuff.
Okay, so are they going to have to be? Will they have to have a CDL?
No, this is more like a store to store kind of thing, probably. Just in the back of the
Okay,
pickup truck.
okay. So again, mention they're going to have to be able be lifting, loading and unloading feed in the back of a pickup truck and into the store, or stuff like that. Some of those physical requirements.
Forklift, probably forklift certification too.
Okay, then I would mention that any equipment they're going to have to run,
Yeah.
make sure uh, you list that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. That does. That helped me out a lot. Because
Okay.
I'm still working on mine. I'm still working on it. I got it. I kind of got like an outline done, but I want to keep editing. Make sure everything's right before I turn it in.
Well, that's fine. And again, if I'll grade it, Aaron, and I'll send it back to you and tell you where you missed points, and you can redo it as well.
Okay.
But do the best you can on it, and take the time to sit there with that grading rubric and make sure you address each and every one of those.
All
Grade
right.
it yourself or have a friend grade it with that rubric and make sure everything's addressed. That's what I tell everybody. The other thing, well, I don't know what other thing it was I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. But anyway, yeah, get that submitted this weekend. If you have any questions, you can try to call me. If I can if I can field your phone calls, I will. I'm going to have a lot of family stuff going on after tomorrow, so but I can field them today. Any other questions? All right. We've been working on this PowerPoint um, in that first week's folder, people management, and it kind of covers chapters 1 through 3. And basically, we've talked about what managers, 3 essential people skills, what managers expect from their workers, what workers expect from their managers. Uh, we've talked about productivity as a result of worker ability and motivation, and components that can influence, or components of the job that can influence productivity, from the structure of the organization, the way the job's designed, the recruitment, your selection process, orientation of that employee, supervision, performance appraisals, compensation, benefits, health, safety concerns, organizational development, research and evaluation. And we talked about results of our employees, how they're influenced by management practices and decisions. And some of those, and those that we discussed, were production, motivation, waste, breakdowns, satisfaction, grievances, litigation, injury, illness. And then the obstacles that we face, trying to get productivity and desirable results. Some of those are an insufficient payoff for the tasks. What's their likelihood of success? Lack of self-esteem with their workers, lack of focus, and also lack of self-esteem as supervisors as well. It's just not just the workers. But it's lack of self-esteem, lack of focus, and the lack of planning, evaluation, and correction. So we've always got to evaluate what we're doing and make the necessary corrections, because sometimes, a lot of times, things do not go as planned. You'd have the best laid out plan, but things just don't go, either due to weather, breakdowns, cattle deciding they didn't want to move that day, whatever it may be. I think cows and horses have bad hair days just like people do. And then we started talking about employee selection. And, the people that you hire for your positions, it's going to, that has a big impact on your production. It has an impact on other people that work there in your operation, has an impact on you. And so properly, or getting the proper people selected to fill those positions, are vitally important to us. It can going through the hiring process and the selection and hiring and training of a new employee is very expensive. It's very time consuming. And so when we do it, we want to do it right the first time, to try to avoid having to do it a lot. Because, we don't want to fire people. Firing's kind of deemed the kiss of death in industry, because you usually get that question asked on a job application: you ever been fired? So you don't want to fire people. You don't want to have a bad work environment by hiring the wrong people. There's always going to be petty kindergarten stuff going on. Sally saying Bob said this, and Bob saying Sally did this, or such, Joe's not doing his job. I'm having to do his job and my job both. All that stuff's going to happen, guys. Uh, People's going to complain about each other. They're going to have their little petty differences. Sometimes, if it's major, we're going to have to look into it. But you're going to have those, lack of a better term, that kindergarten jealousy stuff going on. And, you know, you're going to have drama. And I hate drama. I really do. Just do your job and don't worry about it. If it doesn't pertain to you, it's none of your business. But, these are things we're going to have to deal with. And you're always going to have to deal with them. We've had to deal with them in our lives up to this point. We're still going to have to deal with them throughout our lives. I don't care if it's at a training barn with people with big egos, always wanting to win the shows and all their little kindergarten jealousies going on in that thing, or at whatever job you're working at, Bob's complaining Joe's not pulling his fair weight. You're going to see it. So we want to pick the right people to avoid these things. We want to pick the right people. We want to pick people, that we can trust, because, if it's a farm or small business, they're going to have access to this stuff. We don't want to be robbed. We don't want vandalism to take place from our employees. And I've seen that happen as well. I've seen disgruntled employees purposefully tear up equipment, purposefully tear up fences so cattle get mixed up, all because they didn't want to work. They didn't want to do what they're supposed to do the next day, because we had something, say we're getting ready to go cut tobacco, and they didn't want to cut tobacco, so they go out at night and they cut the fence and get the cattle mixed up so they can spend the next day on horseback separating cattle and fixing fence instead of cutting tobacco. I've seen it. It happens. And it's a pain. And I'm glad I wasn't in the manager position on that division of the farm. But it happens. So employee selection is critical. So, we go through this process. First thing we have to do is decide what we need. We want to do, analyze what that job's going to entail, and we want to write a job description, and we want to be very specific. And we always want to put on our job description, because people are smart, Alex, and you're going to run across them. You ask them to do something, and they look at you and say, hey, that's not on my job description. I'm not doing this one. It's not my job. We don't want that from our employees. So I always put on there, and any other duties as may be assigned. Okay? You want to cover yourself because of people's attitude nowadays. So, always include that statement, kind of have yourself covered, any other duties as deemed necessary, or what, some way to phrase that. You want to, on your job descriptions, and I told you this, you're going to put the weight, or, list what's most important first, what they're going to be doing most of the time. And then try to think of everything they will be doing, and cover yourself with that little statement, any other duties as may be assigned. Then you want to come up with a recruitment strategy. How are you going to advertise for the job? Where are you going to advertise? And you're going to have to come up with what selection tools are you going to use. When you advertise, how are they going to respond? They're going to send you a resume by mail or email. They're going to go to your website, fill out an application. communication. Um, you somehow or another they have got to know how to express an interest in your job, and they have to leave you their contact information so that you can contact them. Um, you want to come up. I'm a big proponent using as many selection tools as feasible to try to find that right person. So, you know, I would definitely go with resumes, references, a job interview, uh, maybe, a health screening to make sure they're physically able to do what they're going to, a medical pre screening that they can do what they're going to do and don't have the pre existing condition uh, prior to getting on. If I'm looking for a laborer, you know, I'll probably go and pay that extra money for a pre-screening for them to go to, because if they have some type of back issue, I want that eliminated before I put them to work, because the first day out they're throwing square bells and they wrench, whether they winch their back or not, but they want to get on disability, they're going to say they did, and they have an existing back condition that I didn't know about. You know what I mean? So I want to eliminate that possibility. They're going to be driving, definitely a driving record. And I would want to also try to come up with a practical test or written test, depending on what position I'm hiring for, uh, just to make sure, to try to evaluate what they know and don't know, because people can lie in resumes and in their job interviews. And I would probably do this in a sequence. The book recommends you do it in a sequence so that each of your selection processes is a hurdle, and they have to cross one hurdle to get to the next one. So I'd go through the resumes, kick out the ones I'm not interested in, and then look at the others, and then set up something from there. The book really encourages you to bring them to your operation prior to interviews and let them see a realistic job review, or show them around the farm or your operation and let them know what they're going to be doing. Let them see it. Um, so they can decide whether they want to do that or not before they continue on with the selection process. Um, we'd like to do that, conduct your tests, conduct your interviews, check your references, and then have your final interview. Um, Once we decide who we want to select for that position or make an offer to, we need to go ahead and get moving on that. Go ahead and make them an offer as soon as they accept. Let the other candidates know that you have made your selection and they weren't chosen for that position, so they don't have to worry about that anymore, or wonder. Um, then you make sure you do that pre-employment medical screening, and you conduct that orientation. That orientation, guys, when you bring a new person on board, that's very important. You want to tell them about the history of your operation, because you're proud of it. You want them to be proud of it, and that they are proud to be working for that company. You want them to introduce to them as many people as possible, and give them you know let them do as many jobs as possible the first little bit you're hiring. Get them involved in all aspects of your operation. Uh, Now, we know there's a thing called information overload. And sometimes I'm guilty of that as an instructor. I just throw so much stuff out at you and it just overwhelms you and you don't learn it all. You kind of want to do this with this new employee. Uh, get him all, get them all around your operation and working in different aspects of it, overload them. But at the same time, realize he's not going to remember most of that. Okay? He's not going to develop the skills for, say, in your case, Aaron, he's not going to develop the skills for running that feed mill, but he'll know enough about it to be dangerous. He'll have been exposed to it. Although he may not remember how to mix feed or run the grinder or whatever, the feed mixer. But, you want them to see all aspects and participate in all aspects of your operation. And, but just keep in mind, they're not going to retain all of that information. But it's important. What research has shown is when an employee is new to a position, that is when they're most receptive to learn new skills or new ways of doing things. They're most receptive to change at that point. And if they weren't, they wouldn't have been looking for a new job to begin with, right? So it's a great time for training your new employees as well. So this orientation is very important when you bring in new people. So we need to take time to do that. We need to take time to train, and we'll talk more about training later because we want to, Keith made the comment yesterday that if you don't show somebody how to do it the way you want to do it, they're going to do it their way. I can't remember how he phrased it. So, you want to teach them your way of doing things. So, that's important, guys. I'm kind of that way. Give you an example. I'm anal about certain things. Some things I'm not. But when it comes to hanging up, when I unsaddle a horse, I want my saddle. I want certain things, my latigo and my girths to be hung on my saddle a certain way. When I hang up my bridles, I want my reins to be done a certain way. And so they don't twist. And there's a purpose to it. And it's taken me a long time to teach my wife how to do that. She just doesn't see the necessity of it. Just hang it up any old way. Your reins will twist. I don't like that. But anyway, so make sure you teach them the way you want things to be done. So do we have any questions on this?
No, we're good.
Okay. Are we getting information overload yet, or y'all bugging out on me and talking about other things? Or y'all cool?
We got it.
All right. Good. Now, that kind of gets us through those first 3 chapters of the book. Have y'all downloaded your book yet?
I downloaded it and looked at the first couple pages, but I stopped.
At least you downloaded it. Aaron, have you?
Yeah, I've got the book, and I've skimmed over it, but I haven't really had time to read it.
Okay, good. Glad y'all got it downloaded. It's free. Try to save you some money. I know what it's like to be a broke college student. Books are expensive. And, I kind of like this book. So, anyway, I do encourage you to read it. There's some really good real life stories and situations in this book. It's pretty cool. Now, moving on to chapter 4, Chapter 4 talks about promotions, uh, job transfers, rotations, demotions, and layoffs. So, and in different ways, we can set up company policy to handle those situations, and some good things and bad things on the different ways we can handle those. So before we go any further, let's just make sure we're all on the same page with some of these terminologies. Uh, what's a promotion?
A promotion is, I guess, when you get maybe promoted to a higher level
Yeah,
in the
it's
job.
just moving up the organizational ladder, right?
Yeah,
And usually when we get promotions, it's followed by an increase in pay, right?
that's
Because
right.
we've got more responsibilities and more duties assigned to us, or more duties assigned to us, right? So we usually get compensation, uh, compensated for those extra responsibilities in terms of money or benefits or something. Okay, what's a job transfer or a job rotation?
A job transfer is like when you might move from like one place to another, or I guess in
Okay,
southern states terms, it would be from one store to another, but it's a lot other types of ways that you can be
okay.
transferred.
Now, job transfers, are they usually, do you usually get more money for it, or does the pay pretty
They,
much stay
they
the same?
they usually do. They usually pay you a little bit more if you're willing to go off. You know, if you're willing to go maybe out of state or a couple or 2 hours away from your home, you know, they'll compensate you the difference plus more
Okay,
usually.
so, so when you think of a job transfer, you're thinking about going to another store or another location area. Uh,
That
let's,
or maybe another position change maybe.
okay, okay, that, I'm just trying to see how you think about it. Now, the book, and I'm not saying that's wrong. Everybody has different terminology for different things. Now, in this class, when we say job transfer or job rotation, what we are, you know, the literal definition of that is it's just a lateral move. Okay. So, Aaron, if you're working for me and say I have a farm store and you're working in the farm store, and say you're down there mixing feed, bagging up feed, and say I wanted to transfer you, I may, move you from that part of the store to the cashier and the retail deal of it, where we sell garden plants and horse tack and pesticides and running the cash register. Still the same, you know, still the same amount of pay, same hours. It's just a lateral move. Okay. I'm not changing stores with you. I'm not giving you a promotion. I'm just giving you an opportunity to learn a different aspect of the business and develop different skills, but you still have the same title. It's just a lateral move. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. I think I was looking at it at a different way maybe.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you're wrong because you know when we're when we're talking to people and they say, "Man, I got a job transfer, I got to move to another state," or my job's transferring me over to down to Dallas, Texas, to another store a couple hours away. That's typically our conversation about job transfers because we're having to relocate, or either we have to relocate physically or we're relocating where we have to work and we have to drive farther, or some instances we drive closer. They transfer us to another location that's closer to our house. But in reality, it's just a lateral move. It may, some organizations, it may be a lateral move, but it just may be in a different location. But it's just a lateral move.
Can I throw in a weird metaphor that helps me remember that?
Yeah.
In football, there's such a thing as a lateral pass. If either of y'all are football fans, that's when you're throwing a sideways pass. It's not going forward. It's not going backwards. You're not necessarily making a gain. It's a sideways pass. In this case, a lateral job, you're doing the same thing, just somewhere else. You didn't go up the ladder. You didn't go down the ladder. That's just the way I remember
Good
it.
analogy, Tom. Thank you. Or a good metaphor. Whatever the term.
I've got some bad ones if you need them too, I'm sure.
I do too. So it's just a lateral move. Job rotations are the same thing. Some companies or some organizations, they may start you off. Let's go back. Let's pick on Aaron again. Say it's a feed store. They may start you off down there at the feed mill, bagging feed, and mixing feeds. Then after a little while, once you get that down pretty good, they'll move you to the cash register. Then they may move you to outside of helping people load up fence posts and unloading the trucks. And you just rotate from place to place. And you're there for a little bit, then you rotate somewhere else, and then you're there for a while and you rotate somewhere else. And so they just kind of have that rotational policy to keep things fresh, give you a change of pace. But, back to that football analogy, it's just a lateral move. It's just a lateral pass. It's not, you're not going up or down. You're just changing your job duties and still keeping the same title, keeping the same pay. So transfers and job rotations, they're just lateral moves. Okay, what's a demotion? You've been demoted.
You've got a lower job title than you had before.
Yeah, it's a downward move. And probably get a decrease in pay. Some companies do that, some don't. But it's the opposite of a promotion. Instead of moving up the organization little ladder, you're moving down. You're going the wrong way. What's a layoff?
Layoff is when the company might get short on money or funds, and they have to let one of the employees go for the time being, maybe until the season catches back up or the funds come back.
Okay. Is it due to behavior?
No.
No.
No, not supposed to be. Is it due to performance?
No.
No, not supposed to be. Okay? It's just like Aaron said. If it's a seasonal job and the season's over, you move the employees out. Farming's a good example. You're out there in tobacco country. A lot of farmers hire part-time people in the summertime to help to plant, weed, or hoe. We had a hoe or tobacco.
Yeah, I know all about
it.
that.
Yeah, top it, cut it, spear it, hang it in the barn. Well, y'all have flue cured. Y'all pick the leaves, don't you?
My dad raises dark tobacco.
Is it cut and speared, or you pick the leaves in the
Yeah,
barn?
we have to cut and spear it and pick it up and put it in the barn.
Yeah, and you get to climb those
Climb those big tier poles in
poles.
the barn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
climb those tiers.
I know all about it.
Oh man, and you're spread out. Jasmine, you ever participated in this?
No, but my grandpa threatens to make me go help our neighbors with it in the summer.
Oh, it's something you need to experience, girl.
I'd rather just watch.
Oh, yeah, if you're cutting, you're bending down every plant and handing it back to the guy behind you to spear it. If you're lucky enough to have somebody to spear it. Otherwise, you got to cut and spear by yourself. I never did figure out the tricks to that one. We always worked in a team. Somebody cut, somebody speared. Uh, and then you let it dry out in the field a couple days or a few days, let the sun cure it out a little bit, let the blisters get out of it because the sun will blister it. And then you go through and you put it on a wagon, lift up those sticks, about 4 stalks a stick, stack it on the wagon. Then they pull the wagon into a barn and you hang it on these poles. They call them tiers. And you got, they're about, I don't know, 4 feet across. The tobacco sticks are a little bit up around 4 feet or so. So your feet, you're standing, your legs spread about shoulder width or maybe a little bit more than shoulder width. And you've got to hang, you got 3 tiers that you personally are going to hang. You got the tier below, the tier that you're standing on, that your feet are on. You got the one below you, and you got the one above you. And then, depending how many tiers, how tall that barn is and how many tiers you are, you get that stick of tobacco, you got to pass it up to the guy ahead of you. So it was always a race to the top because the higher you are in that barn, the less sticks of tobacco you have to handle. But if you're scared of heights like me, you stop at the lowest tier you possibly had to work on, so you didn't have as far to fall to the ground. Am I correct, Aaron?
That's right. I stayed kind of low. I don't like heights, so
Because when you get up high and you're near that roof, where do the old wasps like to build their nests? So
they like to stay right up at the top.
stupid bees while you're up there, and you don't have much air movement. It's hot. You're getting covered up to about the back of you. You're always looking down on how far you can fall. And then every once in a while, because, once they're up, you don't worry about them poles until they break. You don't really replace them till you have to. And they break. And then everything comes crashing down. And it's a wild ride down, and you hope you don't get speared or impaled on the way down or when you land. I don't really want, I really hate it when that happens. Luckily, I don't work in tobacco anymore, so I don't have to worry about it. But anyway, if somebody tells you to get down, it's crashing, you better get your butt down because it's all coming down. You ever been in one of those situations yet?
I haven't been in one of those yet, but we did have a tier pole break on a wagon going down the road, and we had to pick up about 50 sticks out the middle of the road because we had a wagon with some wood. We had a wagon with wooden poles. It was an older one.
Yeah, that'd be an inconvenience. Okay.
We have had that, but luckily no barn incidents yet.
That's good. I was in a barn one time, and I guess I was on the second tier. I was hanging the tier above me, my tier, and the tier below me. And the guy above me said, "Get down, Dwayne. It's falling." And of course, the speed of gravity is faster than what this old boy can move when you're spread eagle, or you're spread out in the middle of the barn, because you've gotten hung out, from the edge. So there's really no way to get down very fast. And so all the tobacco above you comes crashing down on you as you're just trying to get down and swing from pole to pole, or to where you can jump down. By the time I got down, everything was already on top of me. And so, but my coworkers were there to pull everything off of me. And nothing, I didn't get impaled, I just got jabbed. So I was lucky. We got out of that one lucky, but it was scary there for a few minutes, I'm going to tell you. But anyway, layoffs, you just move people, you're moving people out due to lack of work, whether it's seasonal or lack of money or just lack of things for them to do. It's not due to behavior or due to performance. We clear on those terms? All on the same page?
Yes.
All right. Now, when there's two ways, or there's a couple methods we can figure out, or that we could incorporate. One of two methods that we can incorporate in our company policy as to promotions and layoffs. And these are seniority based or merit based. Okay. Now, seniority based, it's just based, the criteria is the length of service. You enter in when you come in on the organization, you're the low man on the totem pole. And when somebody retires or somebody quits, then you have a chance to go up the organizational ladder. And so promotions are based on who's been there the longest. Layoffs are based on who's been there the shortest. The new guy, the low man on the totem pole, the newest guy there is the first one to go. And that's kind of how that seniority system works in a nutshell. It's just based on length of service. On the other end of it, or the other way we could do it, is on a merit-based system. It's based on your worth, your excellence, your job performance. The promotion, if they're is based, they're going to hire the person that's best suited for that position, or they're going to promote the person within their organization that's best suited for that position based on their work record and performance. Okay. When it comes to layoff time, based on their performance, their qualifications, and their worth or their excellence. Layoff time, it's going to be the same deal. Instead of laying off the new man on the lowest man on the totem pole, they're going to lay off the person that's not the most productive. They're going to keep the most productive people. So companies either do it based on seniority or they do it based on merit. Now, what are some advantages to a seniority-based system like that? When you think of seniority, it's that length of service. So what's some advantages to that?
That person has more experience.
Okay. We know that on a seniority-based system, the person getting the promotion, he's been there a while, and he's done several jobs, right? He's got experience. That person's got experience at many different jobs within that organization through lateral advances, job rotations, and so on and so forth. Okay, that's a good one. What's another one?
I was going to say but I think you kind of answered that. You said just like being there longer, so they know how the company works. Like you don't have to retrain them for nothing really, and it'd be easier to give it to a person that already knows how the system works. A promotion, or
Okay,
advancement in another job.
all right. Goes back to that experience with the company and being
Hmm.
in different jobs. Uh, that's right. Can you think of any others? How about competition?
Yeah, that would be a good one. I didn't think about that honestly.
Yeah, I mean, we're not competing for that job. Everybody knows how it works, right? If you and I, Aaron, I'm gonna pick on Aaron because poor old Jasmine, she gets picked on Mondays and Wednesdays pretty bad. So I try to lay off a little bit off of Jasmine on Tuesdays and Thursdays and pick more on Keith and Aaron. Uh, and since Keith's not here, Aaron, old pal, you're in the hot seat. It's nothing personal. It's just giving Jasmine a break from Mondays and Wednesdays.
No, we're good.
Okay. All right. So if Aaron and I are working for the same company, Aaron's a young, strong guy, very motivated. I'm 50 years old, or will be 50 next month. I've got a lot of experience behind me. I've got a little bit more education behind me than Aaron does, formal education. That means life education, just formal education, because he's still working on his bachelor's degree, and I've got mine and got my master's in order for me to be able to teach his class. And I've probably had a few more life experiences than what Aaron has at this point, right? Seniority deal, you know, if I've been at that company longer, I'm going to get that promotion because I've been there longer. There's no competition between me and Aaron. We get along fine because we're not competing for that job. So things go a little bit smoother. Less of that drama that I don't like. You agree?
Yes.
Is there any other advantages you can think of? What about
Maybe the pay
uh,
difference. Like you don't. Maybe since they've already been working there a while, it's not like they're gonna have to. They're not gonna give them. I don't know. Maybe it just depends on what kind of job you have. You might be already making more because you've been there for many years, and then when they give you the promotion, they don't have to give you but so much of a raise.
maybe,
Maybe I don't.
maybe,
I
but
don't know.
that's going to depend on the company's pay structure. But that's a point I hadn't really thought about, you know. Uh, but that may or may not be the case. Uh, what I was thinking about, or what the book brings up, is that another advantage of that seniority-based system is um, it's we don't have to gain favor with our supervisors through extracurricular activities. We don't have to go out. You know, heck, we've all heard the term brown nosing, right? We don't have to
Yeah.
brown nose our supervisors to get that promotion. You know, we don't have to go play golf with them on Saturdays, or we don't have to go over to their kids' birthday party after work. We don't have to do things to gain. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to go brown nose my boss to get a promotion. I don't have to. I don't have to gain their favor. It. I know I'm going to get a promotion when Bill retires, or if Joe gets another job. Whenever there's an opening, then I'm next in line for that promotion, regardless of whether I'm real good friends with the supervisor or not. And Aaron knows the same thing. So when I get that promotion, he can't say, "Oh, Dwayne got that promotion because him and uh, the supervisor Ralph are real good friends. That's the only reason he got it. It's because him and Ralph go rope or go ride horses of the evenings. They're good buddies. That eliminates that. So it keeps it can help keep peace down in the workplace. Y'all agree?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It does.
Okay. So those are three main advantages. Experience of many jobs, no competition for the promotion, and you don't have to gain favor with your supervisor. Um, Now, let's talk about the disadvantages. What are some disadvantages to a seniority based system for promotions?
Yeah, I guess it would be trying to get like new people in there, maybe
Okay,
something
that's
different.
a good one,
Change
Aaron.
change it up a
Okay,
little bit.
that's a good one. Uh, you know,
Not saying that
um,
anything's wrong with the people that are there. It just gives other people a
no,
chance at.
I know what you're trying to say. Uh, as an employer, I'm going to when I'm trying to fill a position in a seniority based system, I want to hire the most skilled person I can. Even if they're over skilled, if they're willing to start at that low man on the totem pole, in a few years, or a few years down the road as people leave, they've got those qualifications to be in a supervisory position, right? I as an employer want to hire overqualified people for the lowest man on the totem pole. Now, Aaron, let's take him. Let's throw him back in the hot seat, Jasmine. Aaron just finished his degree. Okay, Aaron is getting ready to set the world on fire, starting a family, a lot of motivation. He's interested in coming to work for me. I interview him. I tell him about the job, how everything works. I make him an offer, and he says no. And his reasoning is, I have to wait too long to move up the ladder. I'm getting hired at low man of the totem pole, and it may be 10 years, 5 years from now before I get my first promotion and get a significant raise. He may not want to come to me and put in his time to get upper level management. So what Aaron what Aaron's saying is that really high qualified people and overqualified people may not want to go there and bide their time to get in that management position. And I, as an employer, I'm wanting them, but they may not come to me. Is that what you're trying to say? Aaron?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can see how, doing your time, starting off at the bottom is can be a good thing. But I mean, when you went to school for like 4 years, 5 years, or whatever, and you start off at the bottom, like you've been to school so long, you just kind of want to start making some money,
Yeah,
or get the job that you went to school for, instead of starting off at the bottom for
that's
all those
right.
years, money and time spent.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for me to recruit, over, overskilled people because they don't want to wait. There's nothing wrong with starting that entry level position and learning skills and go on. And uh, and that's the way, it was for years. Now we're kind of got a different attitude in this country. And I'm not knocking that attitude. You go, you get trained for a job, and you know, you're trying to get that job. Uh, and I understand that as well. Uh, but it in that seniority based deal, it may be tough. The employer tries to hire over skilled people for management positions down the road, and he may have a hard time trying to fill those positions to get the people he really wants. Um, what other disadvantages are there? Do you think that everybody that works for you, that they have the same motivation as you have, or they have the capability of being a supervisor, or even want a certain job or want a promotion?
I think everybody's a little different when it comes to that, and I don't think certain people really won't. Certain people would rather stay at the position they are instead of moving up, and
That's right.
um,
You're
because they
right.
like they like what they do.
Some people like what they do. They don't want anything more. They don't want any more responsibility. They're happy to go to work, make a livable wage, and go home and spend with their family. They get that
And
promotion. They get more responsibilities. Yeah, they get more money, but it may be time away from family. And maybe family or their own personal time is more important to them than that extra time at work or those extra worries or extra responsibilities.
yeah,
So you're right.
and also like if like seniority, like if they've been there for a while, they get offered the job, but then they decide that they don't want to move up. Then they say, well, maybe you can offer it to the younger guy or the younger girl over here. That you gave it to me first, but I don't want it, so now let them have a chance at it.
Right. But that option may or may not exist. But the point I'm saying is that not every employee that you have is going to be capable of certain jobs, and they may not want the job, but they may want it, but they still may not be capable of it. Okay, so that's a disadvantage. They may not be capable or even want that job. And another another disadvantage of it, kind of what we were Aaron and I were talking about earlier. Ambitious people, they don't want to wait. They may get hired. They may take the job, because they're hungry. They're fresh out of college. They got school loans to pay, and they accepted my offer, but they're still looking. They're looking for something better, while they're getting a paycheck and working for me because they don't want to wait several years down the line to get a promotion or to get that certain job. So Aaron may come to work for me, but if he's ambitious, he doesn't want to wait, he's going to leave me when he finds another job. And that's another disadvantage to that seniority-based system. How about employee motivation? Is that rewarded or not? Is that reinforced?
Like how are you, like, what do you mean in that by, like?
Okay, say I hire you.
Mm-hmm.
You're motivated, and say I do everything right, and I'm very sincere, and I say, man, Aaron, you're doing great at your job. You got a lot of potential. You're doing excellent. Just hang in there for a few more years, and we'll get you a promotion. How often are you going to be willing to hear that?
I mean, that goes a long way, but
Just
I mean,
talking
it's nice. Yeah, it's nice to hear that you're doing a good job, but if they keep saying it over and over again, you don't see,
Yeah,
see
it's like
something
we
happen,
always
see
try.
something happening, then yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to hear it and that pat on the back, and I can be as sincere as possible. But if old Bob doesn't retire when I'm thinking he's going to retire, or when I'm wanting him to retire, Aaron here's getting frustrated. He's tired of the pat on the back. He's wanting some extra cash. He's wanting a promotion. Am I reinforcing his motivation? No, he's going to start leaving me. He's going to leave me mentally. He's going to leave me physically at the work deal, because he's not going to keep busting his butt for me. He's going to do what he has to do to maintain his job. But his mind is looking at updating his resume and where he's going to send it to, because mentally he's left me. And when he finds another job, he's physically going to leave me. I'm not rewarding his motivation. He's wanting more. So seniority-based system, that employee motivation, it's not reinforced. Now, the book talks about another disadvantage, and it's something we really don't think about in ag. I mean, or it's just something I really don't think about. Maybe you guys do. But the book points out that immigrant and ethnic groups that are new in agriculture, they're not going to be represented in the higher levels of management because they're new to the industry, and they're having to start as low man on the totem pole and spend several years before they get up into that upper level of management. So the book points out that immigrant and ethnic groups new in agriculture is going to be underrepresented in the higher levels of management. So those are some of the, we discussed some of the good points about seniority-based systems. We've talked about some of the bad points. Now, let's do the same thing with merit-based. What's some of the good points about a merit-based system? What's the advantages of promotions layoffs, things like that based on merit compared to seniority.
You know that person's going to get the most work done.
Uh, I'm trying to rephrase that. Okay, let me rephrase that, Jasmine, and you tell me if this is what you're thinking. You're hiring a person for a specific job rather than hiring them because they're promotable. So you're hiring them to do that job knowing that they're the best qualified person to do that job.
Yes.
Instead of hiring them that 10 years down the road, you want them in management in 10 years down the road, but they've just got to tolerate these other jobs first.
Yes.
Okay, good point. You hire people for specific jobs instead of hiring them because they're being promoted. So, Aaron, looking at hiring somebody, Aaron catches my attention. I'm going to hire him for a specific job instead of bringing him in as low man on the totem pole and hoping he sticks with me for about 10 years so I can have him in my management team. I may just bring him on in for a specific management position immediately, or bring him into my organization for a specific job. May hire him just for a manager. So I can hire people, like you said, Jasmine, for a specific job that they want and that they're best qualified for, instead of hiring them that in 10 years from now, I'll have them in that job. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Aaron, we cool?
Yes, sir. I understand that. That's a lot.
Okay.
What I was saying earlier, pretty much.
What's that?
The merit base was kind of like what I was talking about earlier, with being able to
Yeah.
just go in and kind of, with your degree, have your job kind of waiting for you.
Right. Another advantage of a merit-based system is that motivated and ambitious workers are going to be rewarded for their performance. Jasmine, I'm going to pick on you and give Aaron a break. I've hired Jasmine. Okay. Man, she's doing great at her job. Really excelling. I've got an opening here. Hey, Jasmine, you interested in this promotion? Based on your work experience, I think you can handle this promotion. She gonna stick with me longer because she's being rewarded for her hard work? Am I gonna keep her motivated by rewarding her for that?
Yes.
Yeah. If it was Aaron's motivated. He's wanting that specific job. So I hire him for that specific job, bust your butt. I get another opening, a promotion type deal. I can reward him even further and keep him motivated by moving him up the ladder based on merit. I'm rewarding merit-based. You're being rewarded for your work and your motivation. And because of that, when I hire people, I can match their job-related abilities better with those jobs that need to be filled. So I can match the jobs to be filled uh, with the employee abilities. I can hire people for those specific jobs, and then I can keep them motivated, and I can reward those people that are motivated and ambitious, because I don't have to wait for them. You know, I can put them in a special. I can hire them for certain jobs, and I can reward them and promote them based on their performance. I don't have to wait for that seniority deal to kick in, because I don't have the seniority-based system. See the differences between those two? They both have good points. Seniority has good points. Merit has good points. Seniority has bad points. Merit-based has bad points. Let's talk about some of the the disadvantages real quick. We're about out of time. We got about 5 minutes left, 10, 20. Okay. So what's some disadvantages with the merit-based?
There's more competition for the job.
Ah, what's good for one's bad for the other one, isn't it? There's competition. Now, that can be a good thing, right? Because it motivates people to work. But it can be a bad thing. We may get some conflict due to that competition. We may have some drama. Okay? What's another one? You're on the roll, Jasmine. Looks like you're wanting to say something. Don't be shy. Aaron, can you think of any disadvantages?
I'm trying to think of a good one, but
All
no,
right.
I don't have any. I don't have any right now.
Okay, let me help get y'all's brains thinking. Remember how we talked about in this subjective deal, or not the subjective, but the seniority deal? We don't have to gain favor with their supervisors. We don't have to say, we don't have to go play golf or go hang out with them. In a merit-based system, supervisors may reward their favorites rather than the best employees. So that brown nosing, it should not come into play, but it very well could. Okay? That was an advantage of the seniority deal. When you're dealing with people, that stuff happens. Whether you like it or not, life's not fair, guys. Sometimes the favorites get the promotions. That's just life. It's not fair, but it happens. And the favorite may not be the best employee. So there's potential there for disaccord because of that. Any others? All right, let me ask you this. How hard is it to measure ability and merit in an objective way and be impartial, without letting your feelings, your likes or dislikes for a certain person come into play? How hard is it to measure performance, ability, and be impartial? Is it easy or hard?
I would say it's kind of complicated.
It is. Okay? It is complicated. And when we start talking about performance reviews, and I give you your assignment for performance reviews, you'll see how complicated it is. Okay? So, another disadvantage to the merit deal is that it's hard to measure merit and performance in an objective and impartial way. Okay, thinking about what we've discussed with merit-based, the advantages and disadvantages, and can you think of one more disadvantage? Because now, you know what? Merit-based is supposed to be based on performance, right? But we have feelings and likes and dislikes that can come into play.
Well, I mean, it could call for discrimination.
There you go. Thank you, Aaron. Unlawful discrimination may come into play here. So, guys and girls, I've got some, I think I don't know how many females I have on the online, but Aaron and Jasmine and Keith and my online students, remember what I said earlier in one of the earlier lectures about HR? You have to document everything, right? To cover yourself, document. You do merit-based, you better document big time. Because, just as Aaron said, unlawful discrimination may come into play. I've got Aaron and Jasmine working for me. They're both hard workers. Me and Aaron, we go out and rope after work a little bit. We get to become friends. Start maybe heading some team ropings or something. I got a promotion coming up. They both work hard. I give it to my buddy Aaron. Life's not fair, guys. Jasmine says, "Hey, that's sexual discrimination." What's your reasoning of Aaron over me? Is it because I'm a woman? Be careful. Document. That happens. Or if it was vice versa. Old Dwayne, he's got the hots for Jasmine there. I didn't get that promotion. It goes both ways. Jasmine, I don't have the hots for you. I'm happily married. I was just throwing an example out there. Okay? It can go both ways. You have to document because it can come into play. All right, guys. We're out of time. We'll pick this up Tuesday. Y'all have a good weekend. And
All right, yeah, you have a safe trip, and I'm sorry about your loss too.
well, I appreciate that, Aaron.
Yes. Likewise
Yes, sir.
here.
I appreciate that. We got a lot covered today. We had some great discussion. I appreciate you and Jasmine for participating and letting me put y'all in the hot seats. And I appreciate it, guys. It makes class fun when we have discussions. I love it.
It does, and I think
Makes
we
it
learn a
more
lot more too.
Yeah, we sure do. So I encourage you. So, all right, guys, y'all be careful.
All right, you too.
All right, I can say be careful out there, and you and Jasmine wouldn't know what I'm referring to, but I
Yes,
guarantee
they are
you talk
way too young for that one.
They are, aren't they? There
Yes.
used to be a show on TV, guys. It was called Hill Street Blues. It's about a police force out in California, and I guess it was one of those night soap operas. Probably one of the first one. Or I wouldn't say soap opera, but one of the continuing shows week to week. And so in the briefing, it come on. They give the briefing, and the police chief giving the briefing to the other policeman, and he'd always say, "Okay, guys, let's be careful." Tom
The
caught
sad
on
thing,
pretty quick.
yes, the sad thing is I even know the sergeant's name that was giving the briefings, Sergeant Esterhouse.
See, I
That's
don't
scary.
remember his name. I remember what he looks like. He was the white-headed guy, kind
Yes,
of tall, white-headed, big-nosed guy.
yep. If I think
I
about
loved
it,
his character.
yes, and if I think about it, I could probably name about 3 or 4 of them, but I'm trying not to.
Yeah, I can't think of their names. I can see all their faces.